Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question to the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
And a good morning to you. It is time for Coffee In here on ON AM and FM. It's Thursday morning. It's April 4th. And kind of the after the storm kind of Coffee In program. And we're the lucky ones because we just got the rain. Boy, if you go a few miles to the north, they're dealing with snow. Snow and slush and sleet. And so we just got, we did get snow, but that's mostly going away. And it's just a little bit of rain going on right now. My name's Joe Callahan. Bob Lauder's here. Good morning to you, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Good to have you here. And we'll also be joined by Woonsocket Mayor Chris Beauchamp is with us. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good to be here.
And we expect Sue Tester-McKenzie from the Blacksville Valley Call and Times to be here as well. So, Bob, we're going to start off with sports a little bit. And so over to Chris, because you had the big halftime free throw shooting contest against the governor during last week's basketball game between the firefighters and the police officers here in Woonsocket. So first of all, whose idea was it for you two to do a free throw contest against each other?
It was kind of a combination of getting together at Woonsocket High School, but I thought of the foul shooting contest.
Okay.
The governor and I played basketball together for over 40 years. So we talk a lot about basketball prior to, city, state stuff, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And he wanted to come back in after Christmas, come talk to the students about the Learn 365.
Stay in school kind of thing.
Stay in school, attendance matters. So we kind of framed it around getting the kids in the gym, doing a little something differently. He had done, I think, at Hope High School, something similar.
Okay.
So that's where it started.
Yeah.
I got into the free throw shooting contest only because we were trying to generate some funds to buy a basketball shooting machine for the high school boys.
Okay.
And I think it cost about $8,000. And
Oh, was that all?
yeah.
Wow.
Bob, right at you. Okay.
So that's what we did.
Yeah.
It kind of came very quick together. We were going to do it in an earlier date. And I thought that date that we picked on the 28th, talking to the school department, was a good date because they had parent-teacher night that night.
Mm-hmm.
So we figured people would be coming to the gym or not being opposed to come to the gym early because they were going to be there at night for the parent-teacher. So it worked out well, and the governor agreed to it. He changed his schedule, and I thank him very much. I think we raised over $4,000, kind of a bucket brigade thing,
Nice.
if you will.
Okay.
So we're halfway there to buying one shooting machine, and we're going to continue to promote that so we can get one for the boys and the girls.
And the girls. How come there has to be two?
I'm sorry?
Why does there have to be two? Can't they just use
Well,
one?
they practice. Good morning. They practice and shoot at different times,
Okay.
and at different areas, different gyms.
I see.
So
Okay.
possibly, I mean, that's not written
And
in
you
stone.
can't move this thing back and forth.
Yeah, once it's set up, it kind of stays where it is until you end
Yeah.
practice.
Okay.
So it's not an easy thing to move,
Okay.
but it helps tremendously with the coaching and the shooting. We only have maybe one or two bodies coaching. You can set this thing up, and I mean, all the colleges have them, obviously,
Yeah.
and pro teams and whatever.
All right.
How many shots did each of you get toward the basket?
So it was funny because the day before we're at South Main Street for the Veterans Female Home that opened up, and the governor and I were talking, and he was with the HUD secretary was there, and they were in Newport earlier that day, and he was practicing in a gym in Newport, unbeknownst to me. So I hadn't shot a basketball in a while. So when I get out there, I was stiff. I couldn't move. And what the heck? I let him beat me 10-7 because I want to get some money from the governor. So I figured it was a good idea.
Good
Let
plan.
him, let him
Good
win.
plan.
Sue Tester-McKenzie has joined us at the table. Hello there, Sue.
Good morning.
Nice to have you with us. Now, did you, was it, now you were at opposite ends of the court. You weren't shooting at the same basket. Were you shooting at the same time?
We didn't have a time. We probably should have did it like a 30-second clock, the first one,
Yeah.
to make whatever in 30 seconds. But we figured the first one to 10 because we thought we might be there for an hour or two shooting to 10. So I said the first one to 1 wins, but it went well.
It was like, okay, 3, 2, 1,
Yeah.
start shooting.
Yeah.
And then someone was.
And the first one that got to 10
10
was declared the winner.
was the winner.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have someone shagging basketballs for
We
you?
did.
To
We
throw them
did.
back to you? Okay.
We did.
So you
So
didn't have
it
to
was
run
fun.
all over the court.
And the police and fire had a good time.
Yeah. Except for the police because they lost us.
The police lost, but it was a close game, and
Yeah.
we had a good crowd there. We
Yeah.
had a bunch of students, we had teachers, we had people from City Hall.
Now, do you think the crowd was on your side? Do you think they were more rooting for you than more than the governor?
I think they were, but the governor spent a lot of time there talking to people after. He didn't rush
Yeah.
out. He was very
Well, I
accommodating.
meant as the baskets went in, more cheers for you.
Yeah, there were more jeers for me because I was missing. In fact, somebody said to me, a friend of mine called me, Beauchamp, you shot so many bricks. Why don't you call the governor and help on the bridge? Help build a bridge on 195.
Should I explain
That's
what,
cool.
what a brick is, Bob?
I figured that one out.
Oh, okay, very good.
So we had fun.
That's good.
Yeah.
So and all in good fun, and that's great. Next time you're gonna have to practice
I will definitely practice because
because the governor practiced.
I actually was at the YWCA reading with the kids a few days before.
Yeah.
So I did sneak into the gym, but they had the small ball. Like they were going in because the ball was so small.
Yeah.
When
all
you
right.
get to the real ball, it's a little different. But
You weren't-
anyway.
you weren't sore afterwards, were you?
No, but the problem was I was walking around so much and I was wearing sneakers that
Yeah.
I don't wear usually, and my legs were so cramped up I couldn't bend. Foul shooting is about bending.
yeah, it's all in the knees.
Following through. And
Yeah.
if you do that every time, I mean, I usually shoot 75, 80%.
Yeah.
I was under that.
Well, 70.
But it took me a lot of shots to get to
To
7.
get to 70. All right. Well, all right. Glad things went well there. Let's see.
Want to notice who came into the room?
I said hi to Sue.
Oh, you didn't say how great she looked.
That's your job, Bob.
Okay.
That's yes,
Nice.
that's your job.
Nice outfit.
Although I wore sneakers this morning
Yeah,
because
but they match your.
I can't believe how well they match these pants.
Very
because
coordinated.
boots. I'm done with boots.
Because
It's-
of the
but
spring
ground
or what?
Was, no, you're done with boots. It's March. It's April actually now.
All right,
so
it is.
done with boots. So I put my sneakers on because there's a little bit of slushiness.
Yes, there is. There
Not
is.
a lot, but just a little.
All right.
Now, should we ask Joe if he has his gold sneakers yet?
And with my Trump endorsed Bible, I do.
Good, good, good.
Trump was selling gold
Yeah,
sneakers.
I saw that.
So no, I bypassed on that, Bob. So.
Darn.
Let's see. In case it comes your way, Mayor, and because I'm not happy with what's going on in Warwick, and I don't think Woonsocket's going to do this, and I call it the wussification of America. When Warwick schools are getting out early on Monday because of the eclipse, and they're saying it's a safety issue. I'm thinking,
I thought the eclipse was Friday.
no, it's this Monday.
Monday.
The 8th.
6th, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Good thing
Warwick
I didn't go
Thinking
looking for it
6th.
on Friday.
you wouldn't have seen it. But the schools are getting out early, so the kids can go home and be safe.
So they don't stare at the sun and burn their eyes.
Yes, and like so, if the Woonsocket school system says, "Hey, Mayor, what do you think? Should we do this?"
I don't think we should have mentioned it. They might try to do it.
Well, I hope not. Did you hear about this, Bob?
I heard about
they're
it,
doing
yes.
this. Any thoughts on should they do this or not do it? I'm against it, by the way.
For the safety issue, I think that that's rather specious. If it was an opportunity for the school to educate the kids about the eclipse and provide them with glasses so they could go outside in the playgrounds or the
Yeah, but
parking
it's
lot and
not.
look at it, that would be different.
Yeah.
But going home early because of a safety factor seems a little bit far-fetched.
All right, Sue.
Same.
Yeah.
I agree. If they utilized it as a learning experience, which makes sense, the unfortunate reality is don't look at the sun. They're going to look at the sun. That's the unfortunate reality. So make them safe while doing it.
They'll dismiss 2 hours early. District officials cite safety concerns. Although lunch will be served. And anyway, are they afraid that if they didn't go home and a kid looked at the sun and got hurt in some way, that the parents would then turn around and sue the school system?
Well,
That's a
there's
possibility.
always that possibility, sure.
It's your fault that my child looked at the sun while on school grounds.
You would think they want to keep them in school so they can't go out and look at the sun if they're so
Right.
concerned about that safety.
Well, there you
Issue
go.
the glasses
That's
and
my thought.
let them go.
How many eclipses did we go through as kids?
Maybe
In the school system.
half a dozen, maybe two,
Yeah,
three.
and
anyway,
they all
four.
and I
We
remember them all
survived.
saying, "Don't look directly at the sun." Got it. Okay, and we didn't get out of school early, and everybody survived.
Yep.
How did we do it?
Guess we were smarter.
I
We
know
didn't
I'm
look at the
closing
sun.
office that afternoon because I want to have the opportunity to go out and see it.
Okay, well that's your choice. You're a private business. That's fine.
Right.
You're not
But that's not for
educated.
safety reasons. That's because I want to do it.
All right. So just if the school superintendent gets a hold of you, Mayor, just say no, I'm against it, Pat. So
I will.
thanks, and I'm behind you 100%.
Okay.
All right, Mayor, can you give us a progress on Cass Park renovations? What's new over there? What's going on? What's happening?
They, I was there. What's today? Today's
Today's
Thursday. I was
Thursday.
there Tuesday, and they just about got the site level and ready for contractors to come in. The bids are going out shortly, I hope. We have the design team and the architects working with us to put the bid specs together, and I think the bids will go out hopefully by today is April 5th, probably by the
Today's the
end of the
4th.
month, the 4th, and hope to get the construction bids back and start construction and
Is that to build the actual
Build the
football,
field.
the
The
football,
field,
the
yeah.
football field itself,
football field, track, all that stuff.
and that includes the stands and press
Includes
box
all
and
the
lights and
ancillary
everything?
equipment. Correct.
Okay.
How large,
That will be built this year.
Okay.
How large
It
do
won't
they
be
expect-
used this year, but it will be built.
How large do they expect the spectator stands to be?
How many?
How many people do you think there's?
750.
Wow. Okay.
They had it at 1,250, but what dictates cost to this complex is the bathrooms. And what dictates the bathrooms is the stands. So the more stands you have or more room for capacity for people to be there, more bathrooms you're going to build. So we went down from 1,250 because we didn't think that was a realistic number of people coming there, down to 750, which reduced the bathrooms, which reduced the cost. And we all agreed between the school committee, myself, public works, engineers, directors, architects, that that was a good number based on what's at Barry Field now, the history of how many people usually come there to certain games, whether it's Thanksgiving, graduation. So you might be over that once in a while, but they'll stand around the field.
How many people are accommodated at Barry Field in the stands?
I think it's under that. I think it's probably in the 500 to 600 range.
Oh, okay.
Do they plan on building stands on both sides of the field?
Permanent on one side, portable on the other.
Okay.
And the portable ones don't count towards the bathrooms.
They don't. Okay. And so they'll just wheel them out.
Yeah, if we need that space for something, we can move them to
Okay.
the end of the facility.
All right. Well, and so you think so you just said the proposals, the RFPs will go out this month. Okay.
Yep.
How long will they
Probably
have?
a month
bring 'em back.
or so to go through them, vet
Yep.
them, and then I would say by May, early June, we'll have all those in. We'll figure out who the contractor is and start getting contracts.
Does the city put the date on the RFP when they go out?
Yeah.
Okay, we want these back by
Yeah.
May 15th, let's say.
There's a timeline for them to
Yeah.
get us
Put it
the
together
prices, yeah.
and get them back.
It's usually a project this size. You're probably talking a month, 3 weeks to 4 weeks, because there's a lot of things involved,
Oh yeah.
and they got to do their due diligence, and they got to make sure they get sub prices for everything. So yeah, it's moving forward. I'm excited.
How many businesses do you know that can do this type of work? Off the top
Well,
of your head,
there's
three
not
or four, or is
there's
there more?
not many businesses that actually do a synthetic track itself. That's kind of a specialty thing. There's
Okay.
probably in the Northeast maybe a half a dozen that are qualified to do it.
Okay.
I know a couple of them that we have worked with that do tremendous job with that. And then there's many subs, electricians, plumbers, all that stuff that they need for all the other stuff. But the team has come together. We were at the council meeting the other night. There was some discussion about the community center, and that's a portion that's not going to be built now. That's later
At Cass Park?
at Caspar.
Okay.
With we can talk about that a little later if you want.
Yeah, but hold on, Bob. We got to take a break right now. Hold on to that question. All right. And more of the Coffee Ad program is coming up. Comments and questions can be called in at 401-766-1240.
For an Allstate agent, providing protection options that fit your life is something they take, well, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and helping customize protection to meet them. From bundling your home and auto insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage, your Allstate agent can help build an insurance proposal that fits your life. And just as important as learning what you need is learning what you don't. Because helping you get coverage you want with savings you deserve is what Allstate is all about. It's time to get coverage that's catered to you. Are you in good hands? Call Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. One telephone number, 765-5000. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with RE/MAX Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial, and he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first, and he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
It is Coffee and on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Callahan here with Attorney Bob Latter, Sue Tesser McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times, and Woonsocket Mayor Chris Beauchamp is here as well. Before we get back to the mayor, Sue, it's time for a first message from the Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times newspaper.
Good morning. So as I say every week, we have moved. We are now across the street from City Hall. I know some people are still going to the old building. You know, since 1892, it's kind of hard to break that habit. But we are at 154 Main Street. We are having signs made so that they will be identifiable. But I understand there was a bit of a delivery problem yesterday in the area. Not sure how many or what areas exactly were affected. So if you missed your paper yesterday, please give the office a call. Call 767-8503, or you can call 767-8522. And of course, my cell number, 487-4136.
Whenever I look at the old call building, I just always wonder, are those Mickey Mouse ears going to move
Right.
down the road too?
I doubt it.
You haven't seen them, Bob?
I've
They look
seen
like
that. I never
Mickey
thought of
Mouse
them as
ears.
Mickey Mouse ears. You're right.
The three circles.
Yep.
It's a Mickey Mouse.
But I think that's part of the historical issue.
Oh, so they'll probably stay
Yeah,
on the building.
a lot of the issues we had in the building were based on historical. I mean, we had the printing press downstairs
Right.
that needs to be, and I don't know if it has been, but dismantled piece by piece by piece. When that thing stopped working, there was still a newspaper inside of it.
Really?
'Cause it worked when I was, I've been there for 17 years. We were printing right downstairs.
All right.
So,
Those circles that look like Mickey Mouse were there way before Walt Disney
Right.
Company was a company. So you won't be sued
and,
by Disney.
but maybe we could.
One
I'm
or
only
two of
kidding.
us.
Only kidding.
Thinks of those three circles as the logo for Ballantine beer.
Well,
Remember
they're not
Ballantine beer?
I do not.
Oh, rats.
And they're not going to sue either. I think they're out of
No.
business. All right. We did have a note that was called in on a different topic. It just says, U.S. aid worker killed in the Middle East. To be blunt and to the point, they are in a war zone, and they're treated as the enemy. And all enemies are targets to be captured or killed. Okay.
I do not necessarily agree
Agree
with
with
that,
that?
and I don't
Okay.
think the Israeli government agrees with that. They've
Probably not.
indicated
It's
that they made a mistake in targeting the individuals from that particular aid group that was providing food, and I don't think it's necessarily everybody who's in a war zone is a target.
Okay.
Not legitimately, no.
All right.
Even with the U.S. Army, I don't think
Yeah.
that's true at all.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Did you want to comment on it, Sue, at all? You don't have to. No? Okay.
No, I'm
All right.
sorry, I
Back,
zoned.
back to the mayor. Now,
I have a question about the.
Oh, yeah,
the
go, that's right, you had a
artificial-
question, Bob.
You're talking about the artificial turf, right? It's going to be
Yeah.
the football field. What kind of maintenance does that require? And the reason I ask that is because at one time I was considering artificial turf in a small section in front of my office, and I was told that I'd have to go out and vacuum the area on a frequent basis to get twigs and leaves and things out of it.
There is some maintenance. I don't think vacuuming is the right term, but basically a field like that, the biggest thing is the drainage with water. And they have under drain underneath all these fields, and the crown is pitched so the water sheds to the sides. And that's the biggest benefit to a field like this, is that you never have puddling, you never have problems with water. But there is some maintenance issues to it.
but it's supposed to be less than a real field,
Yeah,
real
it's,
grass.
it's much less. There is some cleaning up of stuff. I mean, over there, you're going to get leaves and debris on it.
Mm-hmm.
You just blow them off.
I was just gonna say, can't you just
Blow it.
slow them
blower.
off?
So, you know, I don't know totally what maintenance goes into it. It'll be the devil in the details with that. But the main thing about these types of fields is there's a lot less maintenance than a grass field.
And when you're talking about a crown on the field, my understanding of football, and Joe will tell you that I'm virtually a scholar when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Wait, he's laughing. Is that the football field is flat and even. Now,
Well,
if you have a crown on it,
There is a little bit of pitch so the water doesn't stay. If it's flat, water can't drain when
Yeah.
it's on a flat surface. Like you poured water on this table right now, it may
Right.
sit right here. So you do have to have a little bit of a crown so the water pitches.
even in a normal grass
Yeah.
field, you'd have a crown.
Yeah.
Okay.
All set there, Bob?
I'm sorry that I
That's
have
quite all right.
disappointed you in my ability
No.
to understand sports.
No, it's a good question there. Now, there's talk of they want to have a community center will be built at Cass Park. What will that be used for?
So I'm going to give you a brief description.
Okay, good.
Because on Monday night at the council meeting, unfortunately, there are some council people that don't think this is a worthwhile endeavor.
All right.
I totally disagree with that. $5.4 million coming to the city as a grant. And all my time, on the city council, living in the city, I don't remember getting that type of money to build something that will benefit not only the community, but the school department. So the proposed project is to build a multi-purpose community learning center at Cass Park. The project will be a focal point in the community and serve as a place to promote overall well-being by providing program that enables work, education, and health monitoring, and by offering both indoor settings and outdoor settings where people can connect, build relationships, foster engagement, and participate in activities and service. The project will construct a new multi-purpose city-owned facility, which is centrally located for city residents, has accessible public transportation, and is near both the Woonsocket High School and adjacent career and technical school. Cass Park, a popular community destination, and contains playgrounds, sports fields, tennis courts, basketball courts, and walking trails. Thousands of residents and visitors will hopefully annually visit this project. So that's kind of a basic overall what this is going to entail. And the biggest benefit to me is that having an athletic complex near the high school, which obviously teachers, parents, kids, grandparents are very much in favor of, and I think overall the community is. And this community center has evolved a little bit. It was basically a 10,000 square foot building. It's now probably up to 14,000 square feet. And basically, I think with the school department's input and athletic department's input, we're going to have some type of that building will be for weight room, possibly locker room, showers. So when they come off the field, they go into a little athletic complex. That will be separate from the community center. So one will not be intermingled with the other.
All right.
And basically, I envision, and this is still up for discussion, if you got a 14,000 square foot building, 7 1,000 square feet near the field will be for them, with a wall in the middle with soundproofing so they don't intermingle with the community center aspect.
Okay.
Is there any possibility of including in those plans a swimming pool? Because if the YMCA plans don't go through and we're not able to salvage the swimming pool there, can we have one constructed out at Cass Park?
I don't think that would be in our budget, Bob.
Okay.
I would love to kind of entertain those thoughts, but I'm going to have discussions with the potential owner of the Y Friday. Tomorrow's Friday. These weeks just
Hello.
They run
intermingle.
together.
So anyway, we will be talking about the Y pool with them and trying to come up with a game plan that's more viable. The Y pool is closed as of Monday because that was the deadline, and you know the money is not trickling in. It's trickling in as opposed to pouring in. But I think it will get more traction, and we're going to have continued discussions about it. One of the main things that I get calls from residents that use the pool, elderly residents that swim there. There's maybe 10 to 15 people every day. But if you had 50 to 100 people using it every day at different times, you would generate more income, revenue, because there would be more memberships. That seems to be falling by the wayside, where people just, don't know about, aren't interested, whatever. The GoFundMe page is set up. I think there's a little over $4,000 in it, maybe a little bit more. I haven't checked in a few days. But that's gaining more traction, but it takes time. So we're going to do what we can. It's closed right now, but I hopefully will have some answers where we can open it up again in the very near future.
Back when, in the dark ages when I was in high school, we had swim teams. And of course, they practiced at the old YMCA.
Yep.
Do they still have swim teams in the high school?
They do.
Okay.
Well, I don't know about Woonsocket. I know Mount St. Charles uses the pool, and that's why we had it open till the end of March, because they had their meets until the end of March. And then there was the Whalers swim team, which is a private, smaller swim team that I'm involved with her. Amy is her name. We're going to be involved in some other fundraiser with her in the very near future, which we think we can raise some considerable money. And the Y director has been very open and transparent with me. Unfortunately, he has a board of directors to decide that they wanted to shut the pool because the time limit's up. They don't have the money to staff it. And I get that, so we're going to continue to work on it.
Do you know where the Mount went now? Is going now to practice?
I would say Lincoln, Y, or Caulfield.
Yeah.
Probably
Probably
the
the
closest.
closest one.
Probably the closest, but they don't do that until next spring.
Okay. Let's see. Animal shelter plans. You're releasing it today?
We're having a meeting today with the architect to design the animal shelter itself, to talk about it so we can put that out to bid and figure out what we're doing. And that's going to be down at the old water treatment plant on Manville Hill Road that's being demolished as we speak.
Those tanks, have they come down? I haven't been over that way in a while.
I think 1.5, 2 of them have come down.
Okay.
It's amazing what they do, how quickly. They started
Right.
there 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah. And no complaints from the citizens over there that it's too noisy?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
They're working during the day from 7 to 3:30, I believe, which is normal working hours.
Sure.
There's not, it's just machinery just grappling and
Yeah.
taking steel apart.
Fun to watch, too.
It's interesting.
To
There
watch
have
how
been
they
some
do
people
this.
there
That
I've
are
driven
just
by
watching.
that are kind of monitoring it, if you will.
Well, they're just curious.
Yeah, that's all.
All right. We're going to take a break here on the Coffee and program. It's time for the look at the forecast right now. And the forecast is being brought to you by Allstate Insurance.
Rain is likely, mainly before 11 a.m. Cloudy skies, and begins the slow process of the storm leaving the area. A high temperature today of 38 degrees, northeast winds becoming northwest during the afternoon, and winds could gust up over 40 miles per hour today. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, overnight low of 31, winds from the west. Friday, mostly cloudy skies, a high of 46 degrees, and only a 20% chance of some rain. Saturday's weather, a chance of some rain showers, mostly cloudy, high of 44, winds from the north. Sunday, mostly cloudy and 46. Monday, sunshine and 60. Tuesday, sunshine and 61. And next Wednesday, partly sunny and 55.
Currently outside the Navigate Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, to where we do have clouds, a little light rain, and 35 degrees. Some people just know there's a better way to do things, like bundling your home and auto insurance with Allstate. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote. Today, this portion of Coffee N has been sponsored by the Blackstone Valley Call and Times newspaper.
You've heard it before. The world is getting smaller. Places you had to travel to years ago now seem right next door. It's no surprise, then, that all the communities of the Blackstone Valley have so much in common these days that we share common interests. Keeping up with this trend, the Blackstone Valley's two daily newspapers, The Call and The Times, have joined forces to cover the entire valley in one convenient newspaper. The Blackstone Valley's Call and Times, a paper for the entire valley. At your local store, honor box, or home delivery, 767-8522. Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love. Think about the things you're thankful for, and you'll probably think of your home, family, good friends, and a great auto mechanic. Yes, a great auto mechanic can be a real comfort in your life. That's why so many people take their cars to Henry's Auto Repair on Park Avenue in Woonsocket. In fact, so many people trust Henry's that Henry's won 3 gold medals and 2 silver medals in ON Radio's Best of the Blackstone Valley contest. Why don't you join them? For inspections, oil changes, brakes and tires, comprehensive repairs, or preventative maintenance, it's the award-winning Henry's Auto Repair, 1068 Park Avenue in Woonsocket.
Hi, this is Bill from Henry's Auto Repair. I'd like to say thanks to all our supporters and customers for voting us best in the Blackstone Valley.
It's Coffee N here on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Sue Tessier-McKenzie, Woonsocket Mayor Chris Beauchamp, and Bob Lauder. And Bob, time for our first message from your law office, please.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. As you may recall, last week I spoke to you about a case going back to the election between Adams and Jefferson in 1804, the Marbury versus Madison case. That old chestnut has encouraged me to look at several other old cases which still have pertinence today and which reflect upon the obligations of property owners for injuries suffered by people outside the limits of the owner's property. The first case is that of Taylor versus Olson, and it took place in 1978. Olson was the owner of land adjoining a public 2-lane highway. The land was extensive, and Olson had been cutting down trees and logging about half the land. Late on a dark and windy evening in January, the plaintiff Taylor was injured when the car she was driving struck a tree which shortly before had splintered and fallen across the highway. The plaintiff sued the landowner, claiming the landowner's negligence in the maintenance of his trees abutting the highway violated his obligation to provide reasonable care to prevent unreasonable risk to the harm of others. At the trial, the judge entered a directed verdict for the defendant. That is, a verdict wherein the jury never has a chance to deliberate the facts, because the judge has determined that there is no issue to be brought before the jury for consideration. The plaintiff appealed the directed verdict to the Supreme Court of Oregon. The Supreme Court contrasted the obligations of a homeowner with a few trees in his yard to the obligations of the owner of a sprawling tract of woodland, and the practical difficulty of that owner's continuously examining each of the trees therein. The court wrote, "The question is not so much whether the defendant had some responsibility to give his attention to the safety of this tree, but rather how far that responsibility extends." The court ruled that the plaintiff had to provide evidence that the defendant should have been on notice of the possible decay of this tree. In the absence of evidence of visible decay, or that cutting through the bark of the tree is a common and ordinary method of examining trees in general, the plaintiff could not prevail. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please call my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer. The Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob. Since we talked about Cass Park, let's talk a little bit about Barry Field. Are the plans moving forward to build an elementary school over there? Everything is still right where it should be. There's no roadblocks on that at all.
No, as far as I know, they've got the bids. They're looking at the bids, and that'll be moving shortly also, where they're going to build. I don't know exactly where the building is going to be located, if it's in the front and the back, but once that starts, I think next year, we will have the athletic complex at Cass Park ready for football, so they'll transition one to the other. And we've been in good communication with the school department, myself and Director of Public Works, about, coordinate that, so make sure everything is on a timeline that fits both schedules
So you're looking at like the fall of 2026
for the school.
for the school and the football field to be ready to go.
Yeah, I think the football field will be ready next year,
Oh, in 2025.
The
Okay.
school will not be ready by then. It'll be several years.
Can you
Okay.
educate me on an issue about schools? I'm old. I remember when Globe Park was being built. Now, I know that's about 60 years ago, but what is there integral in that structure that is so bad that you have to have a new school constructed as opposed to just retrofitting an existing school?
I can't answer that, Bob, because I'm not in that school to figure out what's wrong specifically, but I think it's a multiple things. There's continued deterioration of the building, roofs and leaks, and there's issues with handicap accessibility. So I think all those problems, you add them all up, yeah, you could probably spend less retrofitting an existing school, Coleman School, same thing. But I think the architects and the engineers, when they looked at that, they said the cost was prohibitive to fix 3 schools as opposed to building a brand new school, which you're going to get life out of for the next 50 years. Whereas you just fix those schools, maybe the life expectancy is another 20 years. So, I mean, you got to weigh spending that money to fix something. Yes, it costs you initially less, but the long term is, it's just like a road, right? If Park Avenue, if we just mill it, take off 1.5 inches off the top of that road and make new pavement, it's going to last 5 to 10 years. But if you take it right down to the gravel base and repair the road like it was when it first was installed, it's going to last another 20, 25 years. So you got to weigh the bang for the buck, and everybody's on a budget, but don't forget they're getting a reimbursement, I think, of 96% to build that schools at Barry Field from the
That's
state.
great. Now, when they construct this, start using the school at Barry Field, which schools in Woonsocket do they expect they're no longer going to be using? Globe Park, I imagine.
It's
is one of
Globe
them.
Park, Vernon Heights, and Coleman.
Okay, all right.
And Coleman is the worst out of the 3 structurally. My thought was, and we talked about this when they talked about going to Dunn Park. Neighborhood schools, when we grew up, that's what everybody wanted, neighborhood schools. I think a lot of people still would like that, but it's not practical sometimes. It's not feasible because you need bigger schools. You need more parking. We had 4 or 5 schools in the Fairmount district, for instance, or 3 or 4. I mean, people, 2nd Avenue, 5th Avenue, there were schools placed where, people lived. And as populations got bigger, more people moved into the city, those schools didn't work for that population in those neighborhoods. So,
And kids don't walk to schools any longer either.
no, some kids do. So that transportation was an issue that came up at Barry Field because, you're talking from Dunn Park's not too far, but Vernon Heights is a little bit of a walk, and Globe Park's a little bit of a walk. So, they brought all those factors in and they weighed them in, and the architects said this is the best plan to move forward. And I think there was some reimbursement issues with rebuilding as opposed to just building a new one. So, I'm on that building committee, but unfortunately I didn't go to the last meeting, so I'm not abreast of everything, but we've been in contact, and I'll do whatever I can because I'm in favor of building that at Barry Field.
Have the plans been completed yet on the Berryfield project?
I believe they have.
Is it going to be single-story or multi-story building?
Can't answer that.
Oh, okay.
I
All right.
worry more about the Woonsocket City Council, city stuff than the school stuff.
Right.
Okay.
But I'm informed when we go to meetings, and I'll get that information for you.
Just trying to envision what it's going to look like, that's
Yeah.
all.
It's gonna be a building, Bob.
Okay. Walls and a roof.
Any questions, Sue? We don't want to leave you out of this situation.
No,
right?
I'm just paying attention.
Okay.
I'm
All
not
right.
confused by it, actually. I'm paying attention.
All right, good. The way I understood it with the schools is, RIDE is giving you this money to do this. If you don't build it, we're taking the money away.
Correct.
So it's either use it now
Yeah.
or lose it.
I like the part that somebody else is giving us the money. That's great.
But I
right.
think a lot of people don't understand that part of things. And in some ways myself, not with this particular circumstance, but the people you'll hear them at a coffee shop saying, we had to build a new school. I could have used the money for this.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is that money's coming from somebody else. It's not coming out of the city.
Mm-hmm.
96%, that's a big percent.
Right.
That's what you said, 96, right? So, I think that's the part people don't understand. They think that everything's being paid for through the city, including the community building at
Community
Cass
center,
Park.
yep.
Community center, that's 100% paid for.
And we have opera money for other things. The opera money, we have $5 million that's building the complex, the field itself. I think we have going to have over $1 million in revenue from the sale of gravel that will help if there's any cost overruns or whatever. So, the opportunity to use this money to do things I don't think we'd ever do in our lifetimes,
Right.
I think is paramount that we take advantage of it.
Okay. In today's Valley Breeze, it says the city considers traffic calming plan over at the Stadium Theater. I know they've done traffic issues around there and what to do, and maybe do a cutout thing like they do at the PPAC. But I can ruffle some feathers here. Is the monument at Monument Square in the way?
No.
It's not. It wouldn't be better if that was moved someplace else.
Cost prohibitive to move that.
Okay.
A lot of money to move that statue.
Is it? Well, I know it's really tall and probably very heavy, and
I mean,
So
if
that's
it wasn't
permanent.
there, yes, it would work better.
Yeah.
Traffic calming, obviously, but
but to move it to make
To
the
move
traffic
it-
better, no.
I think the plan works the way
Yeah.
it was designed. We are resurrecting that plan.
And so, what will that plan now be?
So it's similar to what it was initially 4 or 5 years ago, where you cannot, if you're coming up Social Street, you have to go around the monument and then take a left on Main Street.
Okay.
The traffic calming drop-off area will be right in front of the stadium. I mean, I think you might have heard Mr. Poitras was at the meeting on Monday, and he told us of a story of a car barreling down the other night when they were coming out of the stadium. And I said, listen, I'm in favor of this. It all comes down to money. It all comes down to correct planning and design, what we can afford, what we can't, who's going to help us with paying for this, which the DOT is going to help us with this. I think 3 years ago, possibly, they did a little mock traffic detour, and they blocked it
did,
off.
I saw
I
that.
remember that.
And that's what the engineers had come up with as a simulation, if you will, of what it's going to be potentially. And like anything else, people are rigid to change sometimes.
Oh, sure.
Right. I always go left, but the problem is where the crosswalk's located.
Yeah.
You can't move the crosswalk up anymore because of the statue and everything is in the way.
Right.
That crosswalk is situated there. So we're gonna discuss it. I think it's a worthwhile project. We're gonna do Walrus Street also coming up from Main Street because we're doing the bypass Greenway project. So everything's gonna flow together.
Okay.
So I think it's something that we should definitely look at again, and that's what I'm gonna do.
When you're coming up Social Street and you have to stay to the right of the monument, then do the cars coming from North Main have the right of way?
There will be stop signs or yield signs. I didn't see the plan with the signage, but there will be signs that they have the right of way coming straight through.
Okay.
I would think
That'll be a change.
Well, that right
but
here.
they stop
Absolutely
now.
right. That was my thought
they
process.
stop right now just after the monument if you're coming
Right,
through.
yes, they do.
North Main Street. So,
But now they won't have to.
well, we're going to discuss that. The traffic
Okay.
people will figure that out. But again, like anything else, change is a little bit hard.
Yep.
And the goal of this is to not only make it more accessible for Beacon Charter, the stadium, to drop off people in a safe environment. That crosswalk is dangerous. And I said at the council meeting, all we need is somebody to get hit or, God forbid, killed in that crosswalk, and it's almost happened several times. Then people say, how come you didn't build this thing a long time ago? That's
know,
what happens.
What I see, honestly, is a big problem. It's necessary. I understand that. I think people that don't push the button to have the flashing light is
Yeah.
wrong. Those people need to push the button to alert drivers that it's on. However, that area is a nightmare already when the kids are going and coming out of school. So to take that traffic that was in 2 lanes, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to the right, so I'm okay. I'm not stuck in that traffic. To now have to go to the right, that's where the problem will be. People will, that's an adjustment. But if people push that button, got to push that button, man.
That would be a big
I
help.
see it all the time,
I do too. People in the crosswalk and the lights are not flashing. I'm like, it's right there.
right?
There'll be signage like at PPAC. There's signage,
Yeah.
local traffic with arrows. This is the way you go.
Yep.
Now, obviously, there'll be somebody that
There's
says,
always
I'm
gonna be
going my
adjustment.
way. I
Anyway,
don't care.
yeah.
Right? But it's going to be maybe a raised pavement. So now you're coming,
Right.
not a speed bump, but you're going to have to slow down or else.
All right.
Now people might say, I don't want to go that way because I got to slow down, right? So there's going to be signage, there's going to be lights, there's going to be a lot of things that people will get accustomed to eventually, just like they do at PPAC. PPAC's benefit is they get off on the right side.
On the right side. Yeah.
Where
Yeah, exactly. And that's important because when I was driving my limos, that was huge.
Yeah.
You needed to be able to drop the people off
Yeah.
the right
Yeah.
way. And, again, of course, you're always going to get people that are going to complain, that are going to be this, and, because
And
it
don't
doesn't...
forget, this is not every second of every day, right?
Right.
It's when Beacon Charter's in school and
In and
drop
out,
off and
yeah.
in and out. It's when the stadium have events. So, I understand people's little
Mm-hmm.
concerns about it. But again, we have a world-class venue, the stadium, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. Why
Yep.
wouldn't we help them make it even more attractive by
Right.
having this?
And
Look at-
unfortunately, that's about the only option because if people, you don't have another option but to reroute things.
Yeah.
You don't have another option there.
we could buy the credit union and kind of, but no.
Right? And then make one of these, a little going to the right.
I'm sure they've done the studies, but I'm thinking like tractor trailers. Will they be able to make that swing around
Tractor
the line?
trailers shouldn't be there because then you have the bridge.
Bridge
just
coming
saying.
up a chance. Yeah, I know, I know.
For years, tractor trailers are coming down there, and obviously they've hit the bridge many, many times.
Yes.
So Sue's right. They shouldn't be coming down there
Shouldn't
anyway.
be there.
I mean,
right.
so we'll figure it out. And listen, the people that want this, I think will figure it out. The people that maybe not live in Woonsocket, hey, they're gonna have to live with it.
Have the stadium stadium theater people given you or the project their input on everything on this?
They have, but we will continue to get input and revise, amend to make it the best thing that we can. And I'm getting everybody's input: council people, stadium people, Beacon Charter. So I think it's a good project, but we have limited people to run projects. That's part of the problem at City Hall. So you gotta kind of schedule things so one guy's not on 5 projects, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the issues we got to look at too.
All right, break time once again here on the Coffee and Program. So, Bob, time for a second message from your law office, please.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. The second case I'd like to discuss with you this morning involves the great American pastime of baseball, and it's known as Salvin versus Wilmington Park, and it goes back to 1950. Wilmington Park owned a baseball field which is adjacent to 30th Street in Wilmington, Delaware. An average of 68 games are played in the park each baseball season, and during those games, an average of 16 to 18 foul balls would come outside of the park and land in the area of 30th Street. One afternoon, while walking along 30th Street, the plaintiff was injured when hit by a ball. The plaintiff brought litigation seeking compensation for his injuries. The plaintiff did not contend that the baseball park was an insurer of safety of people lawfully using the highway adjacent to the park, but rather the defendant, as a landowner, had a duty to exercise reasonable care in the use of its land to prevent injury to travelers lawfully using the highway adjacent to the park. The case went to a trial without a jury, and the trial justice, in finding for the plaintiff, wrote, "The inherent nature of the game of baseball is such that it requires the landowner to take reasonable precautions for the traveling public. Those reasonable cautions are dependent upon the facts and circumstances of the particular case. Only those precautions which are inherent to the nature of the game and its past history in a particular location make necessary the protection for people lawfully using the highway. Under the circumstances, it seemed clear that although the defendant took precautions, the defendant should have known that they were insufficient to protect the public, and 16 to 18 balls falling in 30th Street area during each game, and therefore the defendant was liable for the injuries suffered by the pedestrians. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please call my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer, the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
But did the defendant put up netting
That's what I was thinking.
around the
netting.
field to keep the foul balls inside?
Apparently they did, but they still had 16 to 18 of them each game falling outside.
Stuff happens.
Not that way. The court said, you're aware that you have this problem. 16 to 18 balls are falling outside into that area and possibly injuring people. You have a responsibility to make sure that that doesn't continue. And so they should have put up higher netting or some type of
Wider netting or something, because that's a
some
lot
type
of
of
balls
barrier.
in one game.
Right.
I don't think so.
You don't?
No,
That's right. We don't know
no.
anything. He's the professional.
I
Right.
think that's average. Of
but
foul
if,
balls.
Well,
okay, if you
yeah,
have
but-
average number of these coming into the street and potentially injuring people, then you ought to be aware you got to take precautions to prevent that from happening. Higher netting, something.
So well, you're saying that's low, but to me it's high considering you have netting up.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. Considering there's netting and that's still happening, that's what's making it high.
I would.
I'm on your side, Bob.
Thank you.
I would need
Wow.
to. s-
Twice in
I
one
would.
day.
I would need to see like pictures of what it looked
Right,
like back
right.
then, of how high the netting was and how far out it went, and whether or not it was good enough. But
It wasn't good enough because people were
according
still,
to them,
Well,
Right? Would signage have helped that said
no,
like?
not really.
Well, what I mean by that is, so if you park your car at certain places, that have those type of pitch roofs.
Yes.
That are metal, and they say if you park here, don't park here because ice
may
and
get-
snow fall
yeah,
off the
roof.
roof, so you can get hurt. That's what I'm saying when I say signage.
But in this particular case, it wasn't a car getting hit; it was just someone
it was
walking
a person.
by.
right.
Well, if you're walking by a baseball field or a softball field and there's a game going on, take a glance over at the game and see what's going on. And if
I'm not going
and
to
if a ball
know-
comes your way, get out of the way or catch it.
Oh, right. Yeah,
like
you
you
expect I'm going to be able.
All right,
You're wearing a suit of armor.
You
man.
can get out of the way then, Bob.
No, I
I would.
think,
Well, I would need to see
I
what
think
pictures.
the court was right.
No. All right.
Wait, you and I aren't,
Disagree
are
on
not,
this one.
Oh, this is a
No, we
huge
disagree on this
disagreement
one.
right
Oh,
now.
we have a lot
Yeah.
of disagreements coming along.
Well,
here.
my disagreement is the fact that it sounds like a lot of balls for the netting and everything that's already out.
Right.
So something wasn't done right. That's my argument.
Well, at least they had netting up, so
Right.
some places didn't. All right, we're gonna take a break here on the Coffee and program. What do you think, Chris?
I'm sorry, I
You-
didn't pay
Pay
attention.
attention.
zoned out.
Okay. Chris was with me.
Wait, you know what? These gorgeous commercials and oh no, I got to do better.
Oh, sorry, Chris.
A lot better.
All right, more coffee and coming up. Stay tuned.
One of our gold medal winners in the best of the Blackstone Valley is Marchand Environmental of Blackstone. They won gold in the category of septic service. They also won silver in the junk removal dumpsters category. For information, visit marchandenvironmental.com, one of the best of the Blackstone Valley.
Hello, my name is Paul LaValle. I'm a Knight of Columbus with the Council 113 in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. We are sponsoring a scholarship fund for the Greater Woonsocket Catholic Regional School System. There are only 100 tickets being sold. They are $50 each. The first prize is $1,500, the second prize is $500, the third prize is $300. You can purchase them from any Knight of Columbus, including myself. My phone number is 401-651-5533. Plus at WOON Woonsocket Radio Station, 985 Park Avenue. Or the administrative office at 1200 Menden Road, Good Shepherd School. Thank you.
You got to pay attention, Bob. That's right. little, you know.
Like I wasn't.
All right, it's Coffee and on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. We're still arguing with Bob about the last case there. Bob Lauder's here, Sue Tesser McKenzie, Mayor Chris Boshape is here.
About baseball.
That's a good argument. That's a good argument right there.
This is a rare day.
Chris, what's going? What else? We got a few more minutes to go. What else is going on in the city that we need to be aware of? What's on
What
your
else
mind
is
here?
going on? Well, the community center and the public safety complex are two things that we're very much moving forward on. The public safety complex, I have a consultant coming up on the 16th from Florida to go at all our fire stations, police station, give us input on where we should go, what we need. We are gonna build this public safety fire station complex at Boulay Field. So he's coming up to give us all the input that we need to move forward on the public safety.
Now, on the Social Street side, you got the what the old Castle restaurant there. You also got next to that is a car wash, I believe. Will it affect at least those two businesses?
The castle is closed.
Right.
We are in negotiations with them to buy that.
To buy
building.
it, okay.
So have egress and
Okay.
egress out
Well,
of Boulay Field.
Okay, that's good. What about that
At this
car
point-
wash that's right there?
At this point, we are not entertaining purchasing that.
Okay.
We have enough room at Boulay Field if we are able to purchase the castle, and I think that's going to work, and that's what we're going to go look at in 2 weeks or a week and a half when consultant gets here.
Okay.
Now that's potentially going to replace the fire station over on Hamlet Avenue.
Station 2 on Hamlet Avenue, yes, and bear with me, North Main Street.
What's the impact going to be on our present police station?
Present police station staying where it is. It will be retrofitted, new roof, new windows, maybe a little addition in the back of it, because we just don't have the money to do all of that right now. And they're okay with that. So we'll have that consultant look at the police station also and give us ideas what we should and can do there with the amount of money we have. I just got a letter from Senator Whitehouse yesterday confirming that we did get the $10 million is still coming to Woonsocket for our public safety complex. We have $5 million from the governor. If we had to put all that together, you're probably looking at $20-25 million to build what we want to do. So we got a little bit more than half, and we may use more ARPA money. And I'm reaching out to Congressman Amo was in my office yesterday, so he may be able to help us also.
What is ARPA money?
ARPA is the recovery money from Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, the recovery money from the federal government. So that money we have to spend by December of 24. We got 33 million, 32 million in that range.
It's pandemic money.
Pandemic.
That's
Okay.
Sounds
Yeah.
easier to understand.
It
Our
does.
commitment
Yes.
is spending.
Yeah.
Your commitment, you don't have to build the
Right,
things by
right. You
then,
don't have to physically.
but you
it's the
physically
commitment.
have to have contracts in place,
Okay.
sign contracts by the end of this year.
Or else you're going to give the money back?
Yes.
Okay.
So
The government did this for everybody, businesses, municipalities,
And
to help them out.
And real quick, the community center aspect, that $5.4 million grant, that's what we got from the federal government also. A little bit of difference, we don't have to spend that by the end of this year. It's 2026, so we have a little bit more time on that aspect of it.
Okay. So, unfortunately, if the city has to go in and buy the castle, restaurant, you'll be knocking it down, I'm assuming.
It would be knocked down. Yep.
Too bad that historic landmark in the city would then have to go away.
There's been several businesses in there lately, and I don't know.
Yeah, they
if
go and
just-
they try and it fails,
just
and they try and it
just
closes
didn't
again.
work out.
Yeah.
And we don't want to do anything rash like eminent domain, but
Yeah.
that may be an option.
Okay. And the Elks Club, which is also right next to the castle on the other side, that they're okay.
They're okay.
It won't affect them at all with the,
Nope.
with the new safety complex. Okay. Well, that's good news. Bobby, are you just one more quick question? Are you following what's going on with Scott Avedizian and his little fender bender?
Only what I
situation?
heard on the news last night. Yes.
Okay, he pleaded not guilty.
I would think that anyone, when they're going to court on their first appearance, would plead not guilty.
Yeah.
It gives you an opportunity to have your attorney talk with the prosecuting attorneys, see if there's some kind of arrangements that can be satisfactory to both sides. And if not, then you can go to a trial on it. But very seldom would I suggest a person go into court and plead guilty to
right
any
away.
charges that are brought against them.
Okay. Good legal advice right there, Bob. All right, we've come to the end of the program. Thank you very much for listening. It's appreciated as always. Woonsocket Mayor Chris Beauchamp, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
All right, and Sue Tesser McKenzie, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Have a great week.
All right, and Bob Lauder.
Thank you for
As
inviting
always.
me. Hope to be with you next week.
Watch out when you're walking by the baseball fields, okay? Pay attention.
All right.
Those baseballs hurt.
I am.
I know. I've been hit with them a few times. All right, this is Joe Callahan. Have a great day, everyone. Stay tuned for Gary Smith of the crew. Do you remember at 9:30 here on ON Radio?
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. The CEO of Rhode Island Public Transit Authority pleaded not guilty yesterday morning to leaving the scene of an accident with damage. Scott Avedizian is accused of being involved in a fender bender, as they call them, last Wednesday in the drive-through line at a McDonald's on Post Road in his native Warwick. Police said following the incident, he drove away. Avedizian was released on $1,000 personal recognizance and refused to answer any questions as he left the Kent County Courthouse that reporters were waiting to see him about. Schools in the Warwick Public School System will dismiss 2 hours earlier than usual on Monday for the solar eclipse. That's right. Parents are notified via a letter sent home earlier this week. District officials cite safety concerns for their decision. Lunch will be served, and it'll count as a full school day, and send them on home, tell them get inside, and don't dally, and don't look at the sun.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. A Southwest Airlines flight was forced to make an emergency landing Wednesday after 2 people were injured because of severe turbulence. The flight was headed from New Orleans to Orlando when it ran into turbulent weather over the Gulf of Mexico and was diverted to Tampa, requesting paramedics be on standby. Stormy weather is affecting salvage efforts at the site of the Baltimore Bridge collapse. Crane operations were put on hold Wednesday because of severe thunderstorms and high winds, but crews carried out routine salvage